If Deku was a Joestar, Part 1. Now, before I do get into it, link in the description to my gaming channel, Lord Duck. So, kindly ask you all to subscribe to that if you want to see like Minecraft series or other random series on my gaming channel. Now, getting into this what if. Izuku is going to be born a Joestar, and before I do get into the story, I want to somewhat explain his abilities. He's going to have something called Chronokinesis, and basically that's the ability to control time itself, and it has 4 major abilities. And I'd like to thank the thumbnail artist on this video, Mega Crook. He gave me this idea and told me all the powers for this, so I thank him for that. He also did the thumbnail. Now, Chronokinesis has 4 major abilities. It can stop time for more than 10 seconds. If trained, can fast forward time itself or someone or something's time by 5 seconds. Can reverse time of something or someone by 5 seconds. Trained, both abilities can level up to a greater extent, and it can have the ability to skip or foresee the future by 10 seconds. Now getting into this, Izuku would be born to, let's say, Jotaro, and that's basically where he would get his ability from, as Jotaro has somewhat of the power of the world, as he used that against his fight against Dio, and since he has some of that power, Izuku would basically have this Chronokinesis power. Now Izuku would be born to Jotaro and Inko, and Jotaro, now having a son, wouldn't leave Inko, but instead would stay with her to train Izuku so that he becomes a very strong person, as that's really all Jotaro wanted, a very strong son that could live up to the Joestar legacy. So, of course, over the next many years, Izuku would just be training. Now, Jotaro would know that Izuku has a stand, as I believe other stand users can sense stand users. At least I think it's something like that. I've watched most of Part 3, or somewhat of Part 3. I haven't watched a lot of it. Now, Izuku would end up going to the court doctor's office at the age of 4, being taken by Inko, to where the doctor would just say Izuku was quirkless, to which he wouldn't really care, as he just walked back, already having been trained since the age of 3, as his dad would have told him that he's not from that world, and he most likely won't have what this world calls a quirk, but he will most likely have something called a stand. Now, Izuku, of course, would have stand, which I'm going to be calling Blazing Titanium. You guys can imagine it however you want it to be. That's all I'm going to call it. Now, Izuku's going to be a lot like his father, Jojo, with, let's just say he also got the nickname Jojo, even though his name's Izuku. Let's just say he has that. Now, Izuku, of course, would be going to school with most of the girls going around him, just like they did with Jotaro, to which Izuku basically wouldn't really care. Izuku inherited most of his father's personality, but he has a tad bit of kindness towards Inko, and he only has this kindness to people that don't crowd around him and basically just praise him or try to use him as what Izuku calls it for his power or looks, basically. Now, of course, Izuku, when he was 14, would be sitting in class, as the entire class would just be sitting there as their teacher walks in, says, "Why do we even need these high school papers when I know you all want to be heroes?" And the class would just start cheering, as the teacher would then say, "Quiet down, class. It appears we have 2 students wanting to go to UA, Bakugo Katsuki and Izuku Joestar." Yeah, he's a Joestar. If you guys didn't hear that in the title, what if Deku's a Joestar? As the entire class would just start whispering, as many of the people would just say, "Oh, Izuku's bound to make it. Just look at him." To which Bakugo would then say, "Hey, do you not think I can make it either?" As the entire class would just say, "Yeah, you're gonna make it. Your personality's more like a villain than a hero, don't you think, Bakugo?" as Bakugo would just start getting even madder and say, "You want to fight?" As Izuku would just stand up and say, "Quiet down, Bakugo, you're hurting my head with all this damn yelling." From there, Izuku would then leave the school, walking away, as Izuku would then walk under an overpass, as he then hears the top of this sewer drain pop out. Izuku would see this sludge villain, as he would then use his stand to see 10 seconds into the future. Now, I'm going to explain what his stand looks like. I believe it kind of looks like, I'd say, Josuke's stand, but blue and has blue flames around it, basically. As Izuku would just see 10 seconds in the future, seeing that this sludge villain's going to try to attack him and take over his body, to which Izuku would then dodge, as his stand would then come out and say Deku with flames around his fist, just punching this sludge villain, sending it flying and splattering it all over the walls. Now, I'm just gonna say this. I just want the stand to say Deku. I have no clue what or how it's determined what they say, but for this, the stand's going to say Deku whenever it punches. So if it's a rapid attack, it will just say Deku, 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 like that, basically, to make it easier, because I've said Deku at least over 100,000 times probably in all of my what ifs, or at least 10,000 times. Now, getting back into the story, Izuku's stand blazing titanium will just say Deku once with his fire fist, punching the sludge villain, splattering it all across the walls, as Izuku would then see another figure jump out of the sewer drain, as Izuku would then see it was All Might, as All Might would then say, "Young boy, have you possibly seen a sludge villain around here?" Which Izuku would then just point on the walls and say it's right there, as he'd start to walk away. As All Might would then say, "I'm very proud of you, young man, but you know it's illegal to use your quirk in public, right?" As Izuku would just say, "It's not illegal if I'm quirkless," walking away, leaving All Might shocked. A sludge villain that he had trouble capturing was no trouble for a quirkless boy. Now, the start of a 10-month period would start as Izuku would fill out a form to go to UA, as under the quirk box it would say, "What quirk do you have? And please explain it in the box below." Izuku would then say he's quirkless, as he would then just start to write out that he's going to be the first quirkless kid in UA, and he's going to get first place in the entrance exam, as it's going to be quite easy. Izuku only said this to probably piss off some of the teachers, thinking that some of the teachers might get mad that a wee quirkless kid is not going to have a chance making it into the highly respected UA hero school. Now, Izuku would, of course, just write this down, put it in the mail, and send it to UA. Now, Nezu would read this message, and he would see the name, Izuku Joestar. Now, Nezu would say, "Joestar, it's a name I haven't heard in years. He possibly be related to Jotaro Joestar. That'd be quite interesting." Now, Izuku would just train for those 10 months. As they would pass, as Izuku would start to walk into UA. Now, I just thought about something. If any of you say give Izuku one for all would not even affect Izuku. His powers are unmatched by one for all, at least in this. But Izuku's still gonna have trouble fighting some people, because he doesn't have that much fighting experience besides his dad and the sludge villain. Now, Izuku would walk into UA, as he would sit down in the auditorium, as he would just see President Mike explain what they're going to be doing in the written exam, pass out papers, and just to give all of the answers in 3 hours, which Izuku would write all the answers in the 3-hour time, turn in his paper, and sit back down. As President Mike would start to explain what they will be doing in the actual test, to which Izuku, of course, would not really be paying attention, hearing destroy robots and thinking that was enough information for him. He could probably just rest. Now from there, Zuko raises one of his eyes as he sees a blue-haired kid stand up as he would point towards Zuko and say, "And you! If you think this is a joke sleeping in the UA entrance exam, I suggest you leave." As Zuko would just stand up and say, "Well, if you're going to interrupt anybody and not take this seriously and just listen to President Mike, I suggest you leave." As the entire class, or the entire examinees, would just sit there just wondering what the heck's even happening, as the mad Ida would sit down just grumbling to himself that President Mike would interrupt the two, asking them if he can just finish explaining, to which Zuko would say yes, with Ida grumbling about how stupid the situation was. As President Mike would finish the explanation, give them all cards reading where and which city they will be, as Zuko would see City A. He'd walk over there as he'd just start waiting there for the exam to start. From there, the doors would open as Zuko would immediately run out with the rest of the examinees just standing there dumbfounded, wondering what the idiot is running in without, them saying go. As President Mike would then say, "What are you doing, you idiots? Heroes don't wait for somebody to say go. Hurry up and catch up to that kid." As the rest of the examinees in City A would immediately rush out, having a less start than Izuku, who had already defeated around 10 robots. Now we cut over to the teacher's lounge, where they are watching what is happening over multiple different screens. From there, Nezu would point out Izuku, as he'd say, "That's the Corkless kid. That's the Corkless kid. He's just running around and destroying things." Aizawa would then say, "But how's he destroying things? He's just standing there as robots all around him seem to just be getting punched by something." As the entire teachers would just say, "Maybe a psychic ability?" To which Nezu would then say, "No, you guys don't really get it, do you? He doesn't have a quirk at all. He has a different ability. Something called a stand." And now a quick ad break, and we can get right back into this what if. Is over, we can get right back into this what if. Now the teachers would ask, "What is a stand?" To which Nezu would then just say, "No wonder you guys don't know what it is. You guys don't have one." Now I have a very small stand. It's practically useless. It's the only reason why I can see what Izuku's ability is. There's a very tall, muscular being standing right behind him, punching the robots for him. That's how the robots are getting destroyed, and that's his ability, a stand. So the teachers would then just start asking Nezu even more questions about these stands, as Nezu would just keep answering them until one of them asked, "But why can't we see it?" To which Nezu would then just say, "Because non-stand users can't see stands. Only stand users can see other stand users' stands." It's kind of a mouthful, really. Now we cut back to Izuku, who doesn't really need to use any of his Chronokinesis abilities, only having to use his fire punches, or fire fists, to easily destroy the robots, leaving just a tad bit of blue flames on the robots, which would spread to their wire system, causing some of the robots to blow up if they weren't fully just damaged or destroyed yet. Now Izuku would just sit down thinking he'd have enough points, 200, as he would just watch what would be happening. From there, he would start to feel the ground shake as he would look up to see a giant robot standing over somebody as he would hear a girl yell for help. From there, Izuku would then stop time, to which I'm not sure if he should say anything. Let's just say, he says Deku. Actually, screw it, let's just say he says Zawardo, or the world, because why not? So Izuku would say Zawardo. Actually, wait, no, you say the name of your stand, I'm such an idiot. Izuku would say Blazing Titanium, causing the time to stop, as Izuku would use 10 seconds to get over to the girl, move or smash the boulder, pick her up, and then move her out of the way, as time would start moving again, as the girl would then look around saying, wait, how did I get over here? As Izuku would then just say, oh, it's nothing really, I just used my stand to save you. Now this girl would be Momo Yaoyorozu. Now she would thank him, as Izuku would hear over the loudspeakers that the test has finished, as he would decide to just go home. Now 2 weeks would pass, Izuku would get his uniform and just walk to UA. Now I think I should take this time to explain. If you guys say, why do you keep making Izuku a jerk? If you say about this what if too, it's because that's pretty much Jotaro's personality towards other people he doesn't trust. Izuku's going to be like that, but only to people he trusts he's going to be nice to. Now, Izuku would walk into UA as he would see Momo, who he would partially say he has somewhat of a friendship with, having saved her and her thanking him, so he would just walk over and sit next to her, to which they would just start talking, as Izuku would then just start to trust her. Now from there, Aizawa would walk into class, as he would give them all PE uniforms and tell them to go down to testing site. Oh, and that is where they are going to be doing a quirk test. Now from there, they'd all get changed and go down there, as Izuku would then just stand in the middle of the circle, as Aizawa would then tell Izuku to throw this ball, as he'd toss a ball to Izuku, as Izuku would stand in his circle, wondering how he should throw this ball. From there, he would just say Blazing Titanium, stopping time, as he'd toss the ball up, as it'd stop in mid-air, as his stand would just start punching it, saying Deku, 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 continuously punching that ball, as time would commence after 10 seconds of Izuku punching it, as it would be sent flying into outer space, as Aizawa would look on in shock, as he'd just say, okay, Bakugo, you're next, reading that Izuku got an infinity on that test. From there, Izuku would continue him doing this until the last test, as he could finally use his time-stopping quirk once again, or time-stopping stand, as he would wait for Aizawa to start the race against Bakugo, as Izuku would then see Aizawa click down on the stopwatch, and as soon as he would hear that, Izuku would say Blazing Titanium, stopping time, as Izuku would just walk over to the finish line, as Aizawa would then have time, or the time would start moving again, as Aizawa would see Izuku already over there and Bakugo not even having finished, or started the race rather, as Aizawa would then just say, Izuku's so powerful, says he's quirkless. It's very strange. Now, and that's where I'm going to leave it off. It's, I believe, around a 20-minute video, maybe like 19, 18 minutes. Tomorrow is going to be a longer video. I'm going to be doing the USJ and the sports festival and all that stuff in tomorrow's Joestar video. I thank you all for watching. Special thanks to Mega Crook for giving me this idea and doing the thumbnails for this series. I thank you all for watching. Make sure you go subscribe to my gaming channel, Lord Duck. Thank you all for watching once again, and goodbye.